Hi, I'm Ali and welcome to my YouTube channel, Clear Skin and Wellness. Now I thought today I would go through how I colour my hair, as obviously we can't get to the salons at the moment in most places. So yes, let's go through it. So first thing, as you can see, I've got it's just the roots just starting to go. So I thought what I would do is I will show you what I do. So I'm going to colour the roots and then I'm just going to put a few little highlights, just 3 highlights, just on the, without using foil, just so it breaks it up so it's not such a block colour. So first things first, I would put on some Vaseline just around the hairline, just so, particularly if you have a darker colour. My colour's not particularly dark, but if you are using a darker colour, you really want to put some Vaseline or something to just protect your skin. Otherwise you end up with coloured skin. Dark hair, dark colour can take quite a while. There we go. So once that's all on there, then wear some gloves. Again, if you're not wearing gloves and you're using a dark colour, if you do get any colour onto your skin, just use some perhaps lemon juice. That would take that off quite well. So here we are, we've got some gloves here, plenty of these around at the moment. Now the colour I'm using is a Weller colour, the Coliston Perfect, and it's an 88/0. I just like to say I'm not sponsored on any of these, but I have been using Coliston for years and I do find they are really good. This one helps cover over white hair better than an ordinary base. It's slightly more intensive. So I put into a bowl 30 mils of my Coliston Perfect and also 30 mils of 20 volume peroxide, which again is another Weller one here. You can see that? So, and I've mixed that up all into the bowl. So what I do is when I first start is to brush the hair. Now I always wear my hair to the side, but even if I wear my hair to the side, I always start with a middle parting. So just very quickly, when you are colouring your hair, it's always best to wear old clothes and use an old towel. You can get even bleach colour and it can stain and take colour out. So take the colour and I would just start on the root. And if you can work back to the crown as well, all the way back, just all along, just there. And then if you can go a bit more there. Again, if you can go all across, just the roots right to the back of the crown. And then a little bit more here. Say right the way here, all the way to the crown. I tend to do one side first and then the other. There you go, just there. I do realise that I'm using a brush and a bowl, which is so much easier. But if you have bought a colour from a supermarket or from one of the shops, obviously it's in a box and you have it in a tube, which I find is a bit harder to apply. You tend to use a lot of products that way, and then the worst thing you can do is start on your hair, start on one side, use a product, and then you run out halfway through and then you've got one side coloured and not any colour to put on the other side. And lift that right up. Now I've been a hairstylist for the last 30 years, so sort of know what I'm doing. Right, so once you've done one side, then move on to the other. Going right to the crown. I do have a double crown, so anything does show on my crown. There we go. Now when you're choosing colours, obviously as you get older you're probably better off going lighter. Even if you were very dark brown, best to go a mid brown. Obviously your skin complexion changes, so you can sort of, but also the other thing is if you have a darker colour and you want to go brown, fine. Try to avoid anything with any different tones. You just want base colours. Try to avoid anything with honey or golden in the colour description, because otherwise that means it's going to have a hint of red. So you really want something with an ash base, which is green base. Hair doesn't go green, but it's a green base, so it counteracts any red. Same with blondes, always go for unless you want a honey tone, always go for a base colour. Right, so I've applied it on here. So what I'll do before I start on the back, it's just those very side bits where they really show. Try to get as close to the hairline as you possibly can. Now these parts here, the temples, they're the finest part of your hair, and they're always quite tricky. They always tend to go, they always show first, particularly if you don't have a fringe on your hairs. Back there, so just there, and just on there. Right, so once we've done that, we then work on the back part. There. So what I'll do is I'll just clip that. I always have a couple of clips handy, it's actually quite useful. Actually, what's there? So I've done that. And clip that side. So do this side first. So when it gets to this point, it is all about feel. And work our way down. I can feel the line, and so you just keep going along. More there until you've finished, and then we will start on this bit here. So lift up. So there we go. And then we work all the way across. Back there. So it reaches and meets the part at the back we've coloured, and then the final part. Now I would tend to leave this colour on for a good 25 minutes, and then I would and then I would take it off. But today I'm going to put a handful of highlights in, so I think what I'll do is I'll just show you how I go through it, and then I'll take it off later. And then I'd leave the highlights on for just 5 minutes, because I'm going to use bleach, and bleach goes very quickly, takes very quickly, particularly if your hair's porous, if it's been colour treated before. So that's a hair colour. One thing I haven't mentioned is if you've never coloured your hair before, or even if you're using a different product, always do a patch test. So perhaps 24 hours before, do a patch test just behind your ear or your neck, or just here, just to make sure you don't come up and you're allergic. And if you're fine, that's great, so you can move on to colouring. So once we've then coloured the hair, I would leave this on for 20 minutes, and then I would put some bleach on for the last 5 minutes, so then the colour's on for 25 as a whole. So let's say this has been on for 20 minutes. I would then mix up some bleach. Just a little bit of bleach there. You know, if you just want some extra highlights, you don't have to just put a bit in there. You want a nice consistency, not too watery, too liquid, and you don't want it too thick either. And I'll just mix that there. A bit more. There you go. That's perfect. So, right, so you can see that. You don't have to have highlights in. Depends on your base colour. I'm using bleach, but you could just use a blonde colour. Obviously, it would only go so many shades lighter, whereas the bleach does go on and on. You don't want to leave bleach on the hair because eventually it will break the hair, so you don't want it on for too long. Now, it's quite easy if you use it this. Now, if I just want a few bits, you don't want to do a big bloop like that, otherwise you'd end up with a big ridge, unless that's the effect you're after. But I just want a few highlights, so I'm just going to use sort of the ends and gentle motion like that. Okay, so what I would do, I would start from just perhaps just underneath there, just at the side. You can see just a few little strands, just to give it some natural highlights. I don't like my hair to look blocky, and this just takes it off. And a bit more here. Don't want many. I just do. So I work from one side to the other, and then I would just do just a couple at the back. Just there you go. You can just see. And just on there. There you go. If you do get a bit blocky, you can always just rinse it down a bit there. So we keep doing this just on a few little tiny pieces of strands. Once you've done the one side, you would then do the other, and then once you get to this stage, you've done the under parts. So I'm just doing a few little bits and bobs, just a little bit there. See where it's getting darker from the colour. I just want to sort of blend that in a bit. I don't want a big dark ridge, and then so just a few bits there. That's it. And just there. And then don't forget to do right at the back as well. As you can see, I've now done just a few little highlights, just on there. Remember to use that part like that. There we go. Right. So what I would do is I would leave this on for another 5 minutes. So the colour's been on now for a bit, and then I would have for 20 minutes, then the highlights on for 5 minutes, as I'm using bleach, so I don't want it on for too long. Then I'll rinse it off, give it 2 shampoos and a condition, ready for blow drying. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.